So why this book? Walk me through where you sat down. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to figure out what it is, and this is what it is: the Q Factor, the elusive search for the next great NFL quarterback.
Yeah, my co-author, James Dale, who's from Baltimore, approached me prior to the 2018 draft and put a very simple question to me. Why is it we screw this up so much? I mean, you look at just in relative terms, recent terms. In what world do you take Mitchell Trubisky before you take Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson?
This one.
In what world do you take, in what world do you take Josh Rosen ahead of Lamar Jackson? So, and he was asking that. He's a very intellectually curious guy, and he was asking it from a very naive perspective. How does that happen? Today's analytics and with all the resources that you throw out, how, and as we've talked about many times, Rich, you take a first-round quarterback, it is a 50-50 proposition, and it ought to be more than that. So we used the 2018 class, which was supposed to be this, best class ever since 2004 or 1983 with Kelly and Marino and Elway. And we said, okay, well, and the book is written in real time. Okay, here's the evaluations going in. Here's how they were drafted, and here's what's transpired over the last 2 years to see if we could look at and analyze the process that leads us to, and if you look at that class right now, it's kind of harboring at 50-50. Baker Mayfield don't know. Sam Darnold, I'm sorry to tell you this, not looking real good. Josh Allen looks great. Josh Rosen's already been waved out of the league, and Lamar Jackson's the MVP. So, yeah, it was an interesting class to use that as a backdrop to look at this process.
So what have you learned, Brian? And I know you've joked with me before on this show on NFL Network as well. The name Kyle Bowler always on occasion will be brought up to you and with you, and you have. So what have you gleaned? I mean, what's to glean on that?
Well, as you clearly, and it was fascinating. I'm also doing a series of podcasts around the book, and I've had a chance to visit with a number of people, from Bill Polian, of course, to Ozzie Newsome, who I worked with, Hall of Famers, and listening to people like John Elway and Glenn Dawson, Dan Fouts, and Joe Montana. I mean, the list goes on and on. And, okay, what is it that makes the quarterback position? And clearly three things when you look at the whole perspective. One, there's the physical attributes. More importantly, there's the mental and the emotional makeup. And then thirdly, it's where did they go? And that's really what comes home to me as you go back over the last 20, 25 years, and you look at first-round busts. I don't care if it's Vince Young, Jamarcus Russell, Tim Couch, Achilles Smith. It goes on and on. They could all physically play. It wasn't the physical part of the game that tripped them up. Typically, it was either they mentally or emotionally couldn't handle the transition. Doesn't mean there was anything wrong with them mentally. They just didn't have the wherewithal to do it at a NFL level at a very unique and demanding position. And or did they go to the wrong place at the wrong time? So that combination, the latter two, is what really brings you back to looking at, okay, what's the criteria we're looking at, and what are certain non-negotiables, to use a professional a talent hunter's term. You establish that going in, and so often when you look at it, as we've said it before, that non-negotiable becomes very negotiated. And need is a terrible evaluator. And how often do we take a guy that should be a second or third round pick and pull him up into the first round?
I love that. Need is a terrible evaluator.